Hello, welcome to my Carb Sober Sunday. I am so really thrilled, Kelly, to have you on because being an eye doctor and then coming into this health space through my journey of having found a animal-based way of eating / carnivore keto way back 16 years ago. I'm at that point where, oh my gosh, it's like you get voracious for the truth once you realize how much is kind of hidden from us for the purpose of profit and these companies. So before we continue, can you give a bit of an intro? Because I know that you are a quantum circadian health coach, a photobiomodulation clinician. I mean, all of these things are to some people new, and I'm trying as best I can to introduce everybody to red light therapy. And it started with me figuring out that, I have so many people that suffer with macular degeneration and who have family and friends, and that's a concern. And when I started digging in and realizing that red light therapy can actually really heal, and not just the eye, but everything. And I was excited that study that just came out showing red light therapy applied to the thorax actually showed improvement in the eye. And it's all crazy. But welcome, Kelly. Can you give a little bit of an intro? And I'm so glad to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Lisa. So I start my career, my degree, my background is in dentistry. I'm a dental hygienist. I have been for over 30 years. I've worked in both conventional as well as biological dentistry, which is the more holistic approach to dentistry. I have continued, like you, just with this voracious appetite for knowledge and just continually staying curious. And years ago, and when I had my kids, of course, becoming a mother, all of a sudden it's everything must be healthy. And I started with getting rid of plastic out of the home, and then we went fully organic. And then from there, from the nutrition side of it, things then led me into the circadian side of things. And I started listening to a lot of the sort of leaders in the space of circadian rhythm and circadian biology, and then into quantum biology, which basically it's just sort of recognizing biology at the sort of subatomic level, that like the sort of floor level of health is quantum biology. It's kind of a fancy word. It just means very small. So my kids, I started paying attention to the light environment in the house, and I started changing out some light bulbs and getting rid of some compact fluorescents 20 years ago, and getting rid of some of the LEDs that had come out in the 90s that we were using in our home. And I started having my kids and myself wear blue blocking glasses at night. And I found tremendous benefit in doing that for myself, for my family. Raising my kids this way has really been an extraordinary, not experiment, but just an extraordinary recognition of how important this is for ourselves and for our kids from a mental and a physical standpoint of health. And then my brother suffered an unfortunate brain injury that was caused by medical error, and that opened the door into questioning conventional medicine and the decisions that they make. And I started really sort of questioning a lot as to what is being told to us in the health space. And I was able, basically my brother was at the best hospitals in the world. I'm here in Boston, so we have access to the best hospitals in the world. And they essentially handed him back to us at the age of 47 and said, he probably has a 3 to 4 year lifespan with this level of brain injury. And this is as good as it'll ever get. and he was, confined to a wheelchair. He couldn't speak, in diapers. And I wasn't willing to accept that whatsoever. And so I started digging into what do I need to figure out? What do I need to do? What avenue can I go down to help him? And there was a lot of focus on helping repair his gut from having been in the hospital for 100 days and all of the medications and things like that. So there was definitely the nutritional approach to helping his gut, and we were able to do a lot of really good things in that. And then I started to deal with his brain injury and what can I do to support his mitochondrial health, because the mitochondria is most abundant in the brain, the heart, and the eyes. And so I needed to focus on, that ground level mitochondrial health, that quantum health. And I started to understand that red light was going to be the thing that could certainly help him the most. And so I just studied it and studied it and studied it. And before I presented this to my family to say, this is what I want to introduce into his life, I needed to understand it fully. I needed to test it for myself for quite a long time, make sure that it was safe, certainly show that it was highly effective. And then we started him on red light therapy, and we started him very slow because of the level of his injury. We needed to be very mindful of not to overwhelm his system. And so we started him very slow. And then we've built up. And so now my brother does a lot of red light therapy, a lot, because of the level of his injury and the level of his need for that red light, because essentially red light is putting energy into your system. You're able to put direct energy into the body by way of photons, by way of red light photons. And what we've been able to do with him is really extraordinary. I mean, he should be written up in medical journals because it's amazing. And it's now been 14 years since his brain injury, and he's thriving. Unfortunately, he'll never get up and walk. He'll never regain the life that he once had. But to be given a 3 to 4 year lifespan, and 14 years later, he's doing very, very well. And so I'm really proud of what we've been able to do with him. And then that sort of opened up this avenue of me treating my patients through health coaching, through the circadian health coaching, and educating people on the importance of controlling their light environment, and then also I was working for a really an amazing state-of-the-art biological, medical, dental facility. And knowing what I know, they asked me to sort of spearhead and bring red light into the center for their patients. And that's when I started vetting the different companies that manufacture these red light panels, that a lot of the names that everyone knows are very recognizable names. And so when I started vetting these companies to see which company were we going to go with to get their red lights into the center and to provide our patients with, that's when, like many people can understand, when you peek behind the curtain in an industry, sometimes it's really alarming. And that's when I recognized that none of these companies are actually testing their devices. And that was shocking and horrifying to me, because it's a medical grade device, and everything is manufactured in China. That is where we are in this world right now. I'm working to try to change that. That's my number one priority, to try to change that and try to do things here in the US. It's a challenge, certainly. But the hard fact is all red light panels are manufactured in China, and all of these companies are just simply drop shipping from China to you, the customer. And when I asked these companies, my first question was this being a medical grade device and sort of understanding the importance of controlling for EMFs in a device that you're exposing yourself to. When I was asking them about testing, and they said, well, we have a quality control engineer at the factory. Well, it doesn't work that way, because the quality control engineer works for the factory. That person doesn't work for you. They work for that Chinese factory. And of course, their job is to simply get everything out the door as cheaply and as quickly as possible. So of course, those quality control engineers that you think are working for you, that are actually working for the factory, they're going to clear everything, and they're going to say, oh, this is fine, let's just ship it out. And then that red light panel appears on your door, and you really have no idea what exactly just got shipped to you. So that was shocking to me, that there was no quality control in between the manufacturer and the customer.
So can I just say, is the quality control regarding not actually testing if it's 630, 660, 830, 850, these wavelengths, it's testing the EMF being emitted off the unit.
Right.
And how about flicker rate? Is that
right? So yeah. So those are the important metrics that need to be tested. That it would be the flicker, because something that's flickering is very stressful to the body, and you can't see it visually. You couldn't see if a panel in front of you was flickering, because the human eye can't pick that up. But it's very damaging to your nervous system. It's very stressful. It's very damaging. It's very cortisol spiking, because in nature, the only time light would be flickering, sunlight doesn't flicker. The only time light would be flickering would be if you were running through the woods and the light coming through the trees. So it elicits this very stressful response to the body when light is flickering. So flicker is one thing. EMF, so electromagnetic fields, and that would be anything that's plugged into the wall can emit a very high electrical field. Again, that sets off this cell danger response to your body, that you're in a very bad environment here. And same thing with magnetic fields. So those are all things that really need to be controlled for, and you really need to make sure that the device has been fully tested and is completely safe for you to be using. And then also what happens in manufacturing is if you say that you want 630 nanometer and 850 nanometer wavelength of light put into a device, if they happen to sort of run out of a wavelength, they'll just sub in another wavelength, and you have no idea. Visually, you can't really tell a difference. Other than through testing, you can't really tell a difference. And I've tested enough to know that things go wrong, and they try to sort of put things by you in the hopes that you're not paying attention and you're not testing. And I have refused more orders than you can even imagine. Because my manufacturing guidelines. So when it comes within the industry, within the red light industry, if you specify a wavelength of light, anything plus or minus 20 nanometers is considered acceptable. So a 630 nanometer could actually be, 610. It could be 615. It could be 620, not 630. And that's fully acceptable. They allow this sort of 20 nanometer range that's acceptable. I don't do that. My quality control, mine is very controlled, and I only allow plus or minus 3 nanometers range within my products. And my manufacturers know this, because they have had to remake enough of my orders to know that I'm here, I'm testing every single thing, and that they better spec out to be exactly what I have hired them to manufacture for me. So those are the things that I've encountered, and I certainly never had any intention of starting this business, but I was doing it I was vetting different manufacturers and I was testing, and I landed on a manufacturer that I really liked. I liked the intensity. I liked the quality of the materials that they were using. I liked how they were, how low in EMF and zero flicker they were. And so I started sourcing panels for my patients that I was working with. And then I had my friends who were practitioners that were saying, well, I want my patients to have your panels. And so I started supplying other practitioners with them. And then I decided, through so many people contacting me, I was like, okay, I'm doing this. So,
all right. Well, so let's get into more now of the actual benefits and application, because I want this video to be where people will be able to take away from it a lot of information about how to utilize the red light and what it actually can do. And so for a lot of my longtime watchers here, you know, this is an unusual spot for me. I am sitting on the floor and I'm going to do an unboxing of a unit that I received and that I feel like, you know, it'll be a good opportunity to open it. But before we get into that, I'll do that at the end because it's literally still sealed and I have a knife to cut the tape. But I wanted to talk about all different aspects of red light therapy, and this was new to me, the torch. And so I'm going to pull up here. Not too many companies offer this, and if you could give a little bit of information, because so I'm showing here, so it's an intranasal, intradental, and then also I have on my thing here the glass dome attachment on here, and it's pretty fascinating to understand and you know, go over a bit here about the use of the torch and basically what the big benefits are.
Yeah, the torch has a cult following. I will tell you that. It's like the Swiss Army knife of red light. You can use it everywhere. I needed something that I had gotten with my brother's brain injury. I had gotten very interested in using red light intranasally to target the brain. And there's a wonderful company, the V Light, and they make a headset, and it also has an intranasal clip where they're able to get light through the skull, transcranially through the skull, and then also intranasally through the nose to get the underside of the brain. And it's a very expensive, the V Light is a very expensive device. It's almost $3,000. I happen to have one. I got one, but I wanted something that would be financially accessible to everyone. But I needed something that I wanted to be able to do some intranasal red light, but I wanted it to be able to also go intraorally for my dental patients. And so that's where the torch was born. Originally, I had started out with just a torch like this, a torch light that could be used anywhere on the body. So if you have any ache, any pain, any spot on your body that is causing you any issue whatsoever, it could be a skin lesion, it could be a joint, it could be anything.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in here a second. Just prior to me leaving for this Bozeman trip I was just on, I had this strange pain in my my buttock area that I'm learning was sort of like a sciatic thing. It didn't go down my leg at all. It was just when I was walking or walking up steps. So I quick grabbed my torch and threw it in my suitcase. And I was applying it as a sort of concentrated focal treatment for that really seemed to help. And then I'll demonstrate, because I think this is the coolest thing, because people don't realize that this is actually, you know, you can see it going through my hand, well,
Yeah.
actually, right, you can see it moving through my fingers. So it's penetrating through skin and bone.
Oh
And
yeah.
so when you go up your nose, it actually, and I know I like on this, it has a 3-minute timer, so you can actually, it makes it very simple.
Yeah.
But, just the fact that, I hear it's to relieve pain, improve blood flow, increase healing, great for wounds, sprains, strains, and burns. You can use on any body part. Now, I have another, I'm getting in my own little personal stuff here, but I've had an old rotator cuff tear that I reactivated pretty significantly when I thought I was going to be able to play some pickleball. And so now I'm thinking I probably need to get the body pad that you have, but
Yeah. The big pad. I
yeah,
love this.
that's the battery operated one, right?
What was that?
That's rechargeable.
Yeah, yeah, this is the battery powered pad. Yeah, so you could wrap this, and it has a Velcro strap, so you could wrap this right around your shoulder. I just traveled quite a lot, and I had this with me. When I fly, my gut, my microbes, they do not like it whatsoever, and so I had this, and I just tucked it under my shirt and into the waistband of my pants, and I just treated my gut with red light through the entire flight. I felt like a different person when I got to the other side of that flight. Where usually I just kind of feel lousy when I fly. Mostly, like I said, because my gut just gets very disturbed. And I have found traveling with red light and treating while I'm traveling, while I'm flying, a complete game changer. I initially started with using the torch. So I don't go anywhere without this. This is in my bag at all times. This is on every nightstand in this house. My kids use it for everything. My husband and I use it for everything. We use it on our dog. I use it for everything. So initially I would fly and I would sort of treat my gut. I'd put the torch on my gut. But now that I have the pad, I fly with the pad and I just put the pad on my gut. But yeah, I mean, both can be used anywhere, but the torch and using it intranasal, a lot of people have said to me, it's like a cup of coffee for your brain. It's just this little sort of energizing cognitive boost. And I have a lot of pro athletes that are using it, and they're all using it before games, and they're seeing great benefit to. It's just like this little sort of like brain awakening. It's just a little extra power for your brain. Like I said, it's like a cup of coffee.
Yeah. So, but I have the glass,
the domed lens. Yeah.
dome lens back on. Let's talk about the 11 lines and wrinkles on the forehead, Kelly.
Right. Right.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm going to experiment and test and see if my audience can watch before their very eyes over the next few months.
Yeah.
Page backward, but
Yeah.
but there's a
Yeah.
lot of information about that. It's improvement to collagen and
Great for your skin.
yeah,
Great for your skin.
and then I can even use it as portable eye treatment. And I talk about this with people who have macular degeneration or starts of it. I mean,
Yeah.
the retina is so highly attuned to receiving this red light that and it's like you said, one of the 3 areas of the most concentrated mitochondria. So it's important.
Yeah.
So I have a question that somebody says, would the pad be good for bone on bone knee arthritis?
The pad, so here's the difference. Yes, the pad would be good. The pad is a little more subtle and it's going to cover more area. So you would be able to wrap it around the knee and use it on the knee. The torch, this is a much higher powered. This is as powerful as a laser, basically. This is much higher powered, much more concentrated dose of light. the combination of the two, of being able to put the pad on, Velcro it on, and walk about and go about your day, is good. And then treating it, like really putting a lot of power into it with the torch at multiple angles would also be a really good idea. I always sort of approach things from a, there's a chronic and there's an acute. So I like to use the torch for a lot of very acute situations.
Like my sciatic thing that all of a
Right.
sudden reared its ugly head.
Yeah, this thing takes pain away. I mean, it's crazy.
Also toothache,
Yeah.
things like that. And for sinus issues, instead of doing the intranasal, just do it right on top of the sinus.
Yep.
Of our
Right there.
sinuses.
Yep.
For that kind of thing too.
Yep.
All right. So let me. Here, somebody writes, I have heard of people using this for colitis. So
yeah.
that would be the pad or the panel.
Yeah. Right. Right. The gut loves red light. That it communicates, your microbes communicate using light. And so for something like colitis, certainly the nutritional approach, the carnivore approach is very effective, but also adding in red light therapy to the gut is highly, highly effective. And that's been studied, and that it's actually been proven to be a very effective treatment to add for things like IBS, colitis, all of the gut issues. That's always been I grew up, I always had food sensitivities. I was a very fussy kid. That was always like my thing was gut issues. And I have found now with using red light therapy on my gut, I'm fine. I'm really fine. I always expose my gut to natural sunlight. Getting UV on the gut is really, really beneficial for people with issues like IBS and colitis, certainly. But then also adding in red light therapy, it really changes the game. It's such a great add.
Yeah, and I'm always big on just literally laying it out like it is. You can go outside and get this for free. I'm not doing that in New Jersey in the winter. I'm not sunbathing. I'm not out there at 5:45 if I've got a colitis or skin issue or anything that I'm trying to heal. Yeah, you can go out there and do that. It is free from the sun, but I feel very much comfort in knowing I have a panel that I can go in front of and get a dose when I need it, especially, if timing doesn't work out or seasons or, all sorts of things like that. So I always like to lay that out because that is certainly an option if you can get yourself outside enough. Let me put back up. So this is the torch again, intranasal, intraoral, and skin. Glide the domed lens over the face, neck to boost collagen, improve skin appearance and texture, decrease fine lines, which, come on, we all want to do that.
Right.
Right. And you're saying to keep it away from the eyes. You don't put the dome on the eyes because the intensity of that torch is too high to actually apply onto your eyelids, right?
Right. Yeah, it's way too powerful to use directly on the eye, and the retinal cells are very sensitive, and so you don't want to really blast them with a direct high intense dose. But using it with your eye closed 3 to 5 inches away to hold it, in front of the eye, 3 to 5 inches away with the eye closed. You want the eyelid closed because the intensity of the light is a little too much. But with the eye closed, this is very, very beneficial for eyesight.
Yeah, that's what I did as a after I did my little rump there. I did eyes because my dad had pretty severe macular degeneration, and we could say, is it diet? Is it light environment? I'm totally convinced it's a bit of both. and that the light environment is equally, if not more important than the diet. But of course, we all want to keep processed foods and seed oils out because that benefits nobody for anything. But and then the lymph includes lymphatic drainage, glide the dome lens over the lymph nodes, and moving in the direction of the drainage pathway. It's all really great stuff. So then here, as I put up before, is what I'm going to need for my shoulder to try to see if I can actually, I don't know if you can heal a torn rotator cuff because it is torn. And, you know, I'm just holding off on doing surgery. I had my other shoulder done and it's fabulous. And I just don't want to go through it again. And so I'm going to try to rehab it both with some, you know, tension band exercises and the red light therapy. And we'll see where we go with that.
Yeah.
So, and then these are some of the panels. This, I'm just showing the small and the mid. The small is awesome to just do tabletop in your bathroom, in your kitchen, on the counter. And, you know, for those of you concerned about your eye health and anybody who's told they have the starts of macular degeneration, so many people will write to me and say, will carnivore reverse? My doctor said I said, you know what? This is what you have to do. You have to pay attention to red light therapy. I've dove pretty deep on it, and I'm fully convinced that it's a major player in reversing or halting the progression of it.
I agree. I mean, the evidence is there. And it is just a highly effective, very safe, no contraindications, and it's pretty much working for everyone. Which is the great thing about it is this isn't just for a certain subset of person. This is for everyone because we all have mitochondria, and depending on what level they're functioning at. Living a modern lifestyle, we are photonically deficient. We're supposed to be naked, outside, in sunlight, 24 hours a day. Thankfully, we don't have to live like that. We get to live comfortably, right, inside, but that comes at a biological price. And what Scott Zimmerman has shown as far as near infrared, so what happens with light as it hits the earth, everything around you, the grass, the trees, all of the vegetation, all of the shrubs, they absorb the visible spectrum of light. And then what they do is they reflect. They do not absorb, but they reflect all of the near infrared onto us as humans. So nature has designed near infrared to be really, really important for us as humans. So if you were to sort of calculate that out, the amount of near infrared that we're supposed to be exposed to by living outside is like 89 to like 90 something % of the light that actually gets absorbed by the humans is in the near infrared spectrum. So again, that's another signal of how important near infrared light is to us as humans, which is what explains why using red light therapy is such an effective treatment. It's because this is the language that the mitochondria speak. This is the information that it understands, and it knows exactly what to do with photonic energy. And it's even been said that we like to think that the energy, the ATP, the energy that our body makes comes from the food that we eat. So the food gets broken down and it gets converted to energy. Well, that's part of the story, but the more efficient way of putting energy into the body is through light. 2/3 of our energy actually comes from photons, not necessarily from food. So, and your body, your mitochondria is able to do this with 100% efficiency. So, like I said, this light is the language that the mitochondria understands, and it knows exactly what to do with it, and it creates energy. Carrie Bennett has a beautiful saying that relates to Robert O'Becker's work in The Body Electric, that your body is a battery made of water charged by light. And that is just so true, that using red light therapy, it actually builds your battery, builds your body battery. So I just recently gave a talk and I said, you're able to sort of take your body from being a 9-volt to being like a car battery, right? To just having all of this energy into the system. And it's so easy to use. It's so easy and it's so effective.
Yeah, and going back to what you were saying about how trees and leaves are absorbing the solar spectrum and then they reflect the red infrared. There's a thing called forest bathing, and I think it was in Japan, right, where it's actually extremely beneficial to be out in the woods. So there's another free natural way that we can get all this. Let's look at, I'd like to give people practical use, because so many people say, well, how long, when, and all that. So in the directions for the panel use, 1 to 2 times a day, within 1 hour of sunrise or sunset to honor the circadian timing of red light. Morning use, second setting using all wavelengths. So there's 2 settings that are going to be on this panel.
Yeah, so let me turn this on. Okay, so this, you can see how that's very faint. So as soon as you turn the panel on, the near infrared come on. So that's the near infrared spectrum right there. That's it's harder for the human eye to see the near infrared. This is the wavelength that's very, very powerful and penetrates very, very deeply into the body. So this is the near infrared. So as soon as you turn on my panel, the near infrared automatically come on. And then this is going to get real bright. And then when you press this middle button, this mode button, this is going to add in the red spectrum, which is very intense. And people sort of, they think that when you add in the intense red light, that's more powerful. That's actually not true. It's this, the more subtle, visually more subtle near infrared that penetrates more deeply. So that now I'll add the red, and then it gets real bright.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I recommend always use all of the wavelengths that you have available to you. So I like to use the combination of the red and the near infrared, because in nature we're always getting all of the wavelengths. So the wavelengths work synergistically together. So there's very few cases when I recommend using only red or only near infrared. So I always tell people, always use all of the wavelengths that you have available to you, the red and the near infrared together, because they work synergistically. The only time that I recommend using only the near infrared is for people that want to use red light therapy at night. And this is a real interesting thing that I'm experiencing with a lot of my patients and a lot of my athletes that are now doing more red light therapy at night. I'm finding it to be really, really effective at dropping them down into that parasympathetic tone and getting them able to sort of lower that cortisol, increase that melatonin, and to sleep better, and to just switch the body from that, sympathetic, very driven, cortisol driven mode into that very rest, digest, recover, parasympathetic mode. So then sleep improves by using only the near infrared setting, or I have a lot of people now using the mat, the full body mat. This has been an extraordinary fun thing to work with people with, because I was basically able to take $150,000 red light therapy bed and make it portable and affordable. So this is an entire.
That's the one that lays it's full body size. You lay it on the bed or on the floor and lay on top of it, right?
Yeah. So it's almost like a sleeping bag. It has a bottom mat and it has a top mat. So you get in it, you lay in it, and you're getting full body, direct contact red light therapy. So instead of standing in front of a panel and kind of rotating, I always have my patients that are using a panel, I have them kind of rotate, because you want to almost like rotisserie chicken in front of the panel. You want to get that light bathed all over your body.
So in that full body mat, top and bottom, since it's directly against your skin as opposed to this 12 inches away, there's obviously a different intensity on the mat.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the best way to deliver red light therapy. Full body direct contact. So there's no scatter, there's no light loss. You're right up, your body is right up against this. So every single one of these diodes have 4 wavelengths of light in each one of them, and that pressed right up against your skin. So all of that light is being fully absorbed. Nothing is scattered, no light is lost. Everything is fully absorbed.
Yeah, so some of the questions coming in for nighttime use, just near infrared or add in red as well. Now we're saying just the first setting, the near infrared, not the intense red, correct?
So it depends. It depends on what you're using. If you're using a panel that's very, very intense and that light is coming through your eyes, that's overstimulating, and that can,
For the evening.
Right, for the evening, that can disrupt your circadian rhythm because of the intensity of the light coming through the eyes. The mat is different because this doesn't, you notice when I turned it on, it's very easy to look directly at it. It doesn't have to have the intensity of a panel because the panel's 12 inches away. So the intensity has to be high enough that when you're standing 12 inches away, you're still getting a therapeutic delivered dose of light. The mat is different because it's direct contact. The intensity can be lower because you're not losing anything. It's directly absorbed. So the mat, you can use all the wavelengths at night. And this is helping people sleep unbelievably. I mean, everyone is reporting great sleep with using the mat with all wavelengths at night because it's not bright light coming through the eyes.
Got it. Yeah. All right. And then somebody's asking for nighttime use right before bed or about an hour before bed, or what do you recommend?
I would say try to use it as close to sunset as possible. So right now sunset is around 8:15. So if you used it, 8:15, 8:30, something like that.
Yeah, because we want to try to match as best we can our natural solar circadian rhythm outdoors. So
right. And I do believe that there is a circadian component to red light being most effective. That's not to say that it's not going to work during the day. It is going to work. It's going to work whenever you use it, but it's highly effective. So using red light therapy in the morning, basically what that does is that primes your mitochondria. That's very stimulating. It's very energizing. It's very it gets your mitochondria, it gets all of those mitochondrial engines firing, like let's go. And then if you do it later at night, if you're using the mat or if you're using the panel on a near infrared only, then it's very relaxing and it can kind of tone you down. So you can use it in 2 different ways. You can use it to put a ton of energy into your system and get going for your day right around sunrise time. And then you can also use it to sort of calm the system, and it promotes more intracellular melatonin production. So near infrared helps your body produce more of its own melatonin so that you're not taking something like a supplemental synthetic melatonin.
Yeah, I always try to say that as best we can, we're not taking any sort of exogenous substances to try to get us to do naturally sleep what we should be doing.
Right.
Using these red light modality to enhance as opposed to popping a pill. I of course came into this with the intensity of, I want people to understand that we can affect eye health with this. And obviously being an eye doctor, but the eyes are not isolated. It's every body system, every organ system, our brains for headaches and migraines, our joints, our gut, and our skin. And, it's so important to understand that this is beneficial to the mitochondria that are everywhere. We need
everywhere.
we need
Trillions, trillions of them.
yeah, for the energy. And I have to say, Kelly, one of the things I'm always kind of skeptical, cynical. Like, even just a few years back, I wish I had been like you, where when my kids were little, I had figured this out and came into it, but I was oblivious. My kids didn't have blue blockers. I wasn't into this at all, but I started seeing, obviously all on social media, people in their little closets with the whole room glowing red. I'm like, what the heck is woo-woo stuff? A red light? What's a red light doing? Right. And then when you really start digging into it and understanding and hearing and seeing, just like anything else, it's like the testimonials and anecdotal stories and proof positive. There's a really compelling story that Dr. Jack Cruz tells of his father-in-law that fell off the roof, cracked his femur and needed the red light therapy. So Cruz said, "Hey, head into my office. I got this full panel unit. I'm going to teach you how to use it." And he told him, "Make sure you wear the goggles." He ignored that. He didn't wear the goggles, went in and was treating his leg. And he went back to his ophthalmologist subsequent to, after the leg really miraculously healing incredibly, like the guy couldn't even find where the crack was. And then he goes to his eye doctor and he said, "What the heck has happened, or what have you been doing? Because your macular degeneration is undetectable," which I still find hard to believe, but this is a neurosurgeon telling the story. I'm sure he has no reason to profit from this or any other. I don't care what anybody says. I became full on intrigued with what the capability is of the red light therapy, and if it can help vision and eyes, and it can help wrinkles. Who doesn't want to have their wrinkles improve, right? And then what's the next thing? Pain. Arthritic pain, joint pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, tooth pain, all this stuff. If it really actually can help all that, I looked at it like I need to have a panel. So might as well go ahead and do my unboxing. Now, your panels come in that small, that tabletop face one that I showed on there. And
even that small one, the little tabletop, it's about the size of a sheet of paper. It's like 9 by 11. That little panel has 4 wavelengths and 600 watts of power. So there are some much larger panels that have 600 watts of power. So my panels, they're more compact because I was working with a lot of elderly people and a lot of people that wanted panels that they could travel with. And so I made mine more compact, but far more powerful. So even though they're small, they're mighty. And so that is the mid-size panel that you have. And that's very easy to travel with. It fits in a carry-on, if you wanted to travel with it. But that's 1,200 watts of power. So that has as much power as a big panel. So, some people have said, well, your panels seem a little smaller. They're smaller for a reason. They're smaller to make them more manageable for elderly people to use, and they're more portable, but they're far more powerful, and especially with the 4 wavelengths. So 2 of the red wavelength and 2 of the near infrared wavelengths in all of my panels.
Yeah, and with of course, we have a little instruction book, and I think that, I say, get what you can afford. Start with a unit. Just start with a unit and start understanding how beneficial red light is, and start implementing it in like a routine. And, if I get up at sunrise and it's beautiful out and I spend, let's say, a half hour in morning sunrise light, I don't go in and do my panel. But plenty of times really cloudy, rainy, or friggin' cold, because I'm in New Jersey
Yeah.
in the winter, I love to have this still as my daily, routine, to feel like I am making a benefit for my mitochondria. That's
Right.
key.
Yeah. The greatest thing that I hear across the board from every single person that I've worked with and every person that's used my panels, and all of the research also implicates this: your mood. Your brain loves red light. Everyone's mood improves. My husband recently had some labs come back. And we're in our late 50s, so he had some labs come back. They didn't look too great. It was kind of like, wow, this is new. And I said to him, you have to be very consistent with doing the red light. We have more red light in this house than anywhere on the planet. Do the red light, be very consistent. And so he was a great patient. He followed instructions. He did the red light every single day. So his PSA was at 26, and which was shocking. I was like, wait a second, this has never happened before. Your labs have always been stellar. What is going on here? They were talking about, they wanted to do a biopsy. They wanted to do all kinds of interventional stuff. And I said, no, we're going to wait. You're going to be very consistent. And he was very, very consistent with doing the red light therapy every single day. And he did this for 6 months. I said to him, give me 6 months. You're not doing any intervention. You're going to do this. And we got his PSA down to 3.
Wow.
So clearly it was simply an acute situation of inflammation. He had some systemic inflammation happening, and we needed to get that under control. And we did add in some other things. The most consistent and the most profound thing that he did was just consistently doing the red light therapy daily. We did add in some sauna therapy in the winter. A couple months after starting the consistent red light, we added in some sauna therapy, which I think for him in the winter was a really good add. But he said to me, I can't believe my mood. And he's a happy guy. I mean, he is the happiest person I know. He's just pleasant and happy and joyful. And I said, what are you talking about? Like, you don't have a mood disorder. Like, you're always happy. And he said, I can't believe what a good mood I am in. And he said, I wake up in the morning, I don't worry about anything. He said, it's like all my cares, all my worries are just gone. And it's like, hey, life is good. And I've had people report that to me over and over and over and over again. I can't believe how much better my mood is with using this. And I have a coworker a couple of years ago, her 14-year-old daughter, it was very unfortunate, but she had some mental health issues and she had to be hospitalized. It was a scary time. It was a really scary time. And I said to her, we need to flood her full of light. We need to pump her full of light. And we did that. And within a very short period of time, that girl was fine. Her mood got better. We were able to get her off medications, and she's a thriving girl now. She's doing great. So from a mood standpoint alone, red light therapy across the board, everyone always reports that. Like, wow, I can't believe, like, life is easy. Like, I'm so joyful, and especially in those cold, dark winter months when everyone's vitamin D is tanking.
Yeah, it's like that seasonal affective disorder, right? All right. Would the mat be best for a large patch of psoriasis on the back? He has been strict carnivore for almost 3 years and still battling psoriasis. So would you recommend that pad that has the Velcro and put that on the?
Yeah, I think the pad, well, I mean, for psoriasis, I think you'd need maybe something a little more powerful. So either a panel or the mat would certainly be, and it'd be incredible to use for psoriasis.
Yeah, so the patch on the back, clearly the panel that I have right here, or you have behind you there, is, stand with it 12 inches away, and that intensity with both the near infrared and red lights on.
Yep.
All right. And so I have a question here. Are these made in the US?
They're not. They are made in China, but here's
Like
the
they all
difference.
are right now,
Like
except
they
for
all are,
hopefully
every
you're going
one
to
of
change
them.
that.
Right. So what I do is they're manufactured in China and everything ships directly to me. This office is full of boxes. You would if I panned around, you'd die. It looks like a warehouse. Everything is shipped directly to me. I do not drop ship to anyone. Everything comes to me. I unbox every single thing and I test it. I plug in the panels and I test the panels at different intervals. It takes me an entire day of testing of each panel and also of the mat. So I test the mat at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, 30 minutes. I test it to make sure that nothing is happening that could possibly make things not be safe. And then I do the same thing with the panels. I test everything. I test the EMFs. The mat has 0 EMF, 0. Laying on this mat, this is an extraordinary feat of engineering that we were able to do with the mat, to have 0 EMF. So, and I test it. So, and I manufacture in very small quantities so that if there is anything that may have happened in manufacturing, some level of error, whether it be in a cord or something like that, I'm able to control that by manufacturing small numbers at a time. I'm not doing this big volume business where I'm manufacturing thousands and I'm drop shipping thousands from China. Everything comes to me, it gets unboxed, it gets tested at different intervals, and then, and only then, do I box it up and then I ship it to you. I treat every single product as if I'm the one that's using it.
Yeah, can you actually, where did that one go? Somebody said here, what is the warranty for the mat and the torch?
So the mat has a 2-year warranty, the torch has a 1-year warranty.
Okay. And how would you implement infrared sauna use with red light therapy?
So it's recommended to keep them separate because photobiomodulation as a therapy is considered to be a non-thermal. Though there is some warmth that comes off the panels, but it's not anything that overheats your tissue like a sauna. Sauna is more activating those heat shock proteins. So they're considered to be separate therapies. Sauna therapy is different from photobiomodulation therapy. And I've tested, there's a lot of discussion about photobiomodulation being non-thermal. And when I stand in front of the panels, it's very warming. I mean, I feel very warm. But when I take a surface thermometer and I measure the temperature of the surface of my skin, the surface of my skin never goes over 99 degrees. So even though it feels warm, you're getting that internal warmth because it's activating your mitochondria to produce a lot of energy. So you internally feel warm, but you're not actually heating the surface of the skin.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're two different entities, really, too.
Right.
So
both beneficial. I do both beneficial, but they are considered separate therapies.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining in. I am going to put a link in the notes here for information of how to be able to get in touch with Kelly, and also a link to check out all of the devices, the panels, the pads, and the torch. And I believe I have a link that would give them a little bit of a discount. Do I?
Yeah. Your code is activated for the 10%.
Carnivore doctor. And so I'll put all that information. And thanks so much for joining.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Bye, guys.